issues related to population, reproductive health.
So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero, and that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. The problem is that the population is growing the fastest where people are less able to deal with it. So it's in the very poorest places that you're going to have a tripling in population by 2050. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3. Now, malaria is, of course, transmitted by mosquitoes. I brought some here so you could experience this. We'll let those roam around the
he hides what he's doing for you in plain view. Then he really released them to create Zika
there.
On record.
There's no reason only poor people should have the experience.
Look at those scientists, all sick in the club.
Those mosquitoes are not infected, but...
But did you come to reproductive issues as an intellectual?
When I was growing up, my parents were always involved in various volunteer things. My dad was head of Planned Parenthood, and it was very controversial to be involved with that.
That's a trade-off society is making because of very, very high medical costs and a lack of willingness to say, you know, is spending $1 million on that last 3 months of life for that patient, would it be better not to lay off those 10 teachers and to make that trade-off in medical costs? But that's called the death panel, and you're not supposed to have that discussion.
Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero.
Today, the greatest risk of global catastrophe doesn't look like this. Instead, it looks like this. If anything kills over 10 million people in the next few decades, it's most likely to be a highly infectious virus rather than a war. Not missiles, but microbes.
What do you say to critics who claim your global vaccination program is nothing more than a eugenics program?
A huge...
Eugenics. Over 48,000 children in India have been paralyzed due to polio vaccines linked to your foundation.
No. I mean, nothing has saved more lives than vaccination. You know, the key figure that we think about in terms of what we're prioritizing is the tragic death of young people.
Sanitation did it.
You know, vaccines are about saving lives, improving lives. There's no better tool that mankind's ever invented for absolutely those things. And, you know, polio, the whole idea is to reduce and to zero the number of kids who are being paralyzed. And it's during between now and 2018, if things go well, we expect that'll become